All right, today we're bitching about two things. I believe this is what is this installment 4 of Red Dead Redemption 2 sucks. I am to chapter 5 in the game now. I really still like this story very much, and I'm starting to like all the characters. And I'm really starting to enjoy that the missions are really picking up the pace in terms of scale and spectacle and the amount of combat and how fucking tense everything is. That's been pretty awesome. But unfortunately, the further and further I get in the game, the more and more I have to deal with two things: combat and movement. We'll start with combat because I actually feel pretty decent at the combat. I especially kind of like that there's a few missions that limit your skills. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a couple of times where maybe you can't use Deadeye, or maybe your cores are very, very low, and so your aim is all wobbly. It basically is simulating you being injured, and I like that. I also sort of like that if there's a bunch of people around, it throws off your aim. The amount of bullets coming at you makes your aim wobble. But there is the fact that you can take a stunning amount of damage in this game without dying. You can take, once you have, like, as far as I know, what I think is, or at least up to the point I'm at, maximum Deadeye meter, you can abuse the fuck out of Deadeye. It's like playing Fallout at that point with infinite action points. Like, you just Deadeye, 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 and I gotta admit, it's a cover-based shooter. There's a lot of times where I will just Terminator walk with dual pistols, just going blam, 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 and they're like, "What are you doing, Arthur? Get behind cover!" I'm like, these people can't even hurt me. And the amount of times where I've just charged the last enemy in an area, and he's within 10 feet of me, which is like a 1.3 meters for you Eurofags, and I just walk at him, and he's got a carbine rifle leveled, and he's miss, 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 and I go, Deadeye, shoot you in the fucking face. You're done. You're done, son. It's too easy. I don't know if I've ever died in combat. Like, maybe one time, really early on. It's been a long time coming. Since I'm not just rushing through the story mission, I got maybe, holy shit, you just can't light focus, can you, motherfucker? I've got maybe, fucking motorcycle out there, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear that or not. I got about 45 hours in this game, maybe 50. I've played a lot of this game. Probably more like 40, 45. And I'm to chapter 5. I don't really know how many chapters there are. I've avoided all spoilers and avoided giving them to you. But I've never died. The combat is probably way too easy. And there's been sections where I've been utterly surrounded and without cover. And I just go running on through places. There's enemies shooting at me with bolt-action rifles, which are supposed to be accurate. Nothing. I kill them all. It's not bad, but I'd say it's too easy. One thing I have really loved that you'll see is gangs that you fuck with a lot will start to ambush you. One of the coolest things, I consider this a minor spoiler, because this happened really, really early on in the game. Some motherfuckers, like, ambushed me near a bridge. And I was on my horse, so I was I'm going to go turn around and drive my horse up to cover. One of these motherfuckers comes out of a bush and grabs the reins of my horse so my horse cannot move. That was like a Dark Souls level trap. I liked that, so I was forced to, out in the open, gun these fuckers down, lest they kill me and or my horse. So I thought that was really cool. So there are even crazier ambushes than that, but that's the only one I'll spoil. But it's just, I never died in any of that. No matter how badly I was surprised, no matter the amount of times where I was just ambling around looking for shit, like looking for herbs, and just wandered into a major enemy base. And I had not taken any of my guns off my horse, so I'm surrounded by dudes with rifles, and I got my pistols. Just walk through them and kill them. It's hilarious. Now, let's talk about the horse, because the horse, of course, is a meme, because the horse works way worse than it did in Red Dead Redemption 1. I believe I've talked to before that the horse can now collide with things, sort of like if you were on a motorcycle in Grand Theft Auto games, and it will crash and burn, and the horse will get hurt, it'll hurt you. You can get rocket launched off the horse really easy, and This is a problem, especially when you got really fast horses. One of the first obnoxious things I've seen is the way inclines work. This happens even on foot. There's a lot of inclines that you can climb that are steep. There's a lot of inclines that don't look that steep, and you cannot climb them. And if you try, you might end up falling off a fucking mountain. One of the very few times I've ever died in this game, because I think I've died in combat maybe once, maybe never. But I've died about 2 or 3 times to falling off of shit. And then I think I've died once to an alligator just because I was testing what would happen if you just walk up to one. And the answer is it kills you almost instantly. So that was on purpose. But fucking one of the fucking crashes I had is there's slopes that the horse can go up pretty easy. Maybe 30, 40 degrees. Really narrow. But there's a couple of times where I've encountered a hill where it's like, like fucking like this. Pretty steep. But the problem is the slope actually wasn't like this, where I could just go up. The slope was like this. So about the length of my hand here, doesn't even come up to the knee of the horse, about 2 feet, probably half a meter, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm running full speed at this, what I think is a small hill, and I crash into that space yay long of vertical ground, and rocket off my horse and just like a missile, just face first into the ground. And my horse crumples up into a ball like a fucking crash test car. That's annoying. But that's nowhere near as annoying as trying to manage to whistle for the horse anywhere near a body of water, a river, anywhere in a town, anywhere near a mountain or on a mountain, just anywhere where the terrain is anything but even and open. In Red Dead Redemption 1, whistling for a horse, first of all, would call the horse immediately to your side. The horses often stop a couple of meters, 3, 4, 5 meters behind you, meaning you have to sprint to get on your horse, especially if you're under duress, escaping a predator, being shot at, escaping the law, escaping a crime scene. You would like that horse to come right up to you so you can just hop on and go. The horse no longer does that. Also, the horses in Red Dead Redemption 1 used to path down paths. They'd go down roads, and they'd go down streets in towns to get to you. The horse in Red Dead Redemption 2 paths the shortest distance to you. And if that distance is through an alleyway, through a shopping bazaar, through a throng of pedestrians, down a sidewalk filled with like newspaper stands and random assholes and fucking parkers, off a cliff, down into a river, the horses will practically drown themselves rather than follow you along a riverbank. If you're, say, in a body of water or across a body of water, they won't go look for a ford, which is pathed as part of a road for you when you use the waypoint system. No, they'll just go the shortest distance to you and drown themselves trying to swim after you, or fucking get stuck in the middle of pedestrians or run pedestrians over, or get stuck in shopping stalls. And it's really obnoxious trying to whistle for your horse in, say, Saint Denis, where there's a fuckload of shit everywhere. And it also sucks to ride your horse in Saint Denis, where people in carriages will not stop for you. The trolley will fucking stop for you, but people in carriages will run your ass fucking down. And the pedestrians don't know what the fuck the sidewalk is. They will fucking just walk down the middle of the street. And it's dangerous to ride your horse fast through either Saint Denis or another really cramped town like Strawberry, because a lot of times in places like Strawberry, there'll be dogs that want to chase your horse and weave in between your horse's legs, and if you accidentally step on that dog, you'll be charged with the crime of animal abuse and get a bounty. And I have... Okay, this is one thing, we'll end with this, that Grand Theft Auto has had a problem with since Grand Theft Auto 3, since the advent of 3D Grand Theft Auto games, okay? When you go towards a pedestrian and they want to jump out of your way, hold on, I need nicotine for this. I'm an asshole, I know, sorry. When you go towards a pedestrian who sees you oncoming, they don't actually react to where your position is. They react to where you are, your vector, your fucking velocity at a specific moment. And say you're veering towards the sidewalk and you swerve and you're moving towards the sidewalk and a pedestrian sees you going. This is in Grand Theft Auto. If you swerve left, you're already too late because the pedestrian saw where you were going at a specific moment in time and you were going right towards the sidewalk. Meaning the pedestrian will throw themselves like Superman into the street and go straight under the tires of your fucking car or over your fucking hood for that matter. The pedestrians do the same thing in this fucking game and every Rockstar game that has ever come before it. The fucking lengths that pedestrians will go to throw themselves under your horse is truly fucking staggering. Because they do the same thing where they see where you're vectored towards a specific moment of time. Say you're veering right, and there's a guy right here, and he sees you coming and jerk right, and he's right here, and then you jerk left. I have seen a pedestrian who was walking to the right, sees me going towards him, and I veer to the left, and moving backwards like this, he cleared more than 10 fucking feet, like about 10 paces, all the way from the edge of the sidewalk into the middle of the fucking street to be slammed into by my horse. He just ran backwards 10 feet to hit my horse. And I had way since fucking moved away from where he was, and he moved from here to fucking here while I swerved. That is so goddamn annoying. And you'd think, oh, I'll just move on foot, even in large towns like Saint Denis, because the horse is a total faggot. People run under the horse, you get in trouble. No, dude, the horse will try to go in through alleyways, into fucking bazaars, into throngs of people or crowds, through parks, through cemeteries where there's all sorts of shit. The horse has no idea how to pass through it, and eventually the horse can get so stuck that no amount of whistling or moving will unstick the horse. The horse will just go, I am stuck behind this fucking crate. And you have to go physically get the horse out of the alleyway and carefully ride the horse through all the cunting people that are in the alleyway to get out. Because the horse is a fucking idiot and won't just pass down the street. Which, when your horse is fast as fuck, it's not a big deal. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you could, first of all, whistle for your horse from anywhere. Now you had to be in proximity of your fucking horse. This horse will not come to you from anywhere except for maybe within half a mile, little under a kilometer away. He will fucking get stuck on everything. He'll drown in rivers. He'll fall off cliffs. And for fuck's sake, he just is retarded. And it's just really annoying. And this game is just too fucking large to not use the horses. First of all, the horses are such a huge pain in the ass in combat. I've gotten thrown off the horse in ambushes. I've gotten thrown off the horse when there's a cougar chasing me and shit. Because the only horses that are worth riding are the fast horses. And the fast horses are terrified of combat and terrified of predators. And will spook and throw you and run away from you and not come when you whistle. But if you want to use any of the brave horses, they're slow as fuck. And the game is too fucking big. And fast travel still can be kind of a pain in the ass because you can only do it from a specific safe house that you get later in the game. Trains, which only go to specific places, and carriages, which can go to most everywhere, but they're only in specific places themselves. And if you're out exploring in the mountains, you end up in caves, you're kind of going around rivers or through the swamp, the horse becomes a fucking liability, which is so fucking annoying. But those are so far the only downsides. And from the first video to here, I'm enjoying the game a lot more. The story's a lot better. I still have quite a bit of ways to go as far as I know. I've really been enjoying the characters and the story more than pretty much any Rockstar game I've ever played. But movement, the sheer fucking slow as fuck speed that you loot fucking anything, having to deal with, you can only put so many pelts on the horse, and specific kind of pelts you can only carry one. And if you accidentally do a mission where you still have a major pelt but you got to carry a person on your horse, you have to take the major pelt off and abandon it. Shit like that with the horse is obnoxious. The fact, again, that repeatedly Arthur will put guns on the horse or take guns off the horse that you don't fucking want without your permission. So there's so many times where you're going to get caught in a shootout and you don't have the guns you want because you equip them, but if you ride far enough on the horse, Arthur automatically takes him off his person and puts him back on the horse. It's fucking tedious, dude. And those things are realistic, but it's only interesting the first few times you do it, but it's something that's going to happen to you dozens and dozens and dozens of times in this fucking game, and it starts to get horrendous. Like I said, fucking trying to read trying trying to fish on a boat and the boat starts to rock while you're fishing, and you can fall off the fucking boat while trying to reel in a legendary fish because the boat won't fucking hold still because the fucking movement engine is a huge pain in the ass. Shit like that. But that's about enough of movement. I've already explained in length how fucking moving with Arthur is like just slamming into walls like a dumbass drunk with cerebral palsy. That's really annoying. I fucking still hate this engine. I've hated it since Grand Theft Auto 4. Even though it's vastly improved since then, it's still a huge pain in the ass, especially when you're trying to climb anything, when you're trying to pick up anything. It's horrible, and the fact that the animations have been greatly lengthened, and if you accidentally try to loot somebody in combat, you can't cancel the loot animation, which is 5 seconds long. You can get killed even in this game where you are a human tank. Shit like that is really annoying. But I do actually kind of like that there's more reticle movement. You were hyper accurate as John Marston in the first game. Arthur Morgan has superior Deadeye by far, but his general trying to shoot at people, you're going to miss quite a bit because of the way the reticle moves. And I kind of like that the reticle moves more and more the more intense combat is and the more tired you are and so forth. That's good shit, but it can get a little annoying. But mostly it's just the fucking movement. And also, lastly, this has been a problem ever since Grand Theft Auto 4. All of the cover-based Grand Theft Auto games and both Red Deads, Arthur doesn't stick to cover properly. He always randomly, especially when there's a lot of areas where there could be 3 lines around you that you could stick to cover, he never chooses the one that's right in front of him. He'll slam to side cover where you're flanked. He'll slam to back cover where you're completely a sitting duck. He'll move away from cover that's right in front of him and go way off to the side and stick to the side of something where, again, you're flanked or fucking a sitting duck. That happens so constantly, and that's why, oftentimes, I only am in cover a tiny bit of time in combat. I found it's better to just be supremely offensive. A good offense is the best defense, and move constantly and keep killing people. There's tons of missions with infinitely respawning enemies or metric fuck tons of enemies, and I found it's generally better to keep moving and snapping in and out of Deadeye and shoot people in the face while just walking straight down the street, which is cool, but it's clearly not what's intended. So the fact that the cover system doesn't work, but it's also not even fucking necessary, means it's just kind of a mess. But there's a lot of this game that's kind of a mess. And lastly, I gotta explain this. I went and caught a legendary fish in a boat. And when I was on that boat, it said, when I caught the fish, it's like, would you like to keep the fish and return to shore? I said, yes. It abandoned the boat in the middle of water where I was and teleported me to a very small island filled with alligators that was completely 100% surrounded by water. I had to swim out in alligator-infested water, recollect my boat, bring the boat back to that little island, and spend roughly 2 or 3 minutes trying to drop the fish onto the surface of the boat, because this is a very large fish that I can't just put in my pocket. I have to carry it. I can't carry the fish through the water. I need to find a way to get the fish back to actual shore, not a small silt sandbar in the middle of the goddamn ocean. So I fucking managed to just barely, fucking with the physics, to drop the fish on the boat, drive the boat back, and try to whistle repeatedly for my horse and try to angle the boat so that the horse follows the shore instead of trying to follow me into the water, so that I can put the fish on the horse to go mail it to the guy who wants legendary fish. That sucked. Imagine if I had died while trying desperately to abuse the physics to transport this fish to my horse. That's not fun. That's intricate. That's, semi-realistic. The fact that I can't just put this 47-pound fish into my pocket. But just because it's more realistic, because it's more engrossing, does not mean it's fun. It was a terrible fucking pain in the ass, because the teleport to shore thing does not work. There's a lot of shit in this game that doesn't work. And that's why the people who say 10 out of 10, best game ever, no, there's shit that should have been fixed. that is not fixed. And it will likely never be patched or can't be patched because you'd have to fucking dig through the fucking code. Teleporting me onto a fucking alligator-infested silt bar that is completely surrounded on all sides by 40 meters of fucking goddamn water, instead of putting me on the fucking shore by my horse, is agonizing. And keep in mind, you can't drop shit when you're pressed up against something because of the retard physics. And if I press up against the boat to try to drop the fish into the boat, it will say you can't drop the fish. So I had to kind of like swivel and just retard cerebral palsy chuck the fish onto the boat while turning, tricking the game into letting me drop the fish on top of the boat, which technically, according to the game, should be impossible. I had to fuck with the physics and fuck around to just get my goddamn fish. Fuck that, dude. That sucks. But, you know, the baseline game, the meat and potatoes, it's good shit. But this is a much more intricate game than any game since Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. But a lot of that side quest shit sucks. Sucks bad. Thanks for watching.